Alright, the Brexit vote went down as a no, but that was expected. And of course the zombies sold the British pound. Not crazy, but they did sell the British pound, and I alerted all my zombie trading subscribers to go short the British pound before that vote. So they made money on that. By the way, if you want to sign up for that report, Zombie Trading, that is my daily Forex signal service. We front run the zombies because we know how they're going to behave, and we take their money and we get out before they die. Go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com, and sign up for a 30-day free trial of Zombie Trading. By the way, if you subscribe to both MMT Trader and Zombie, you get a special rate. Now, okay, article on Zero Hedge, that wonderful site. By the way, Zero Hedge has been banned, blocked from Facebook, and I do not cry for them. I do not feel sorry for them. Zero Hedge banned me on Twitter several years ago because I made some critical comments about their site. So they ban anyone who posts up critical comments. So they were banned from Facebook. But there was an article or a post on Zero Hedge. And I have to say one thing about that Zero Hedge. They do come out and break news before many other news outlets. But the problem with that blog is it's one of these hard money, gold bug, conspiracy theory, Austerian type of blogs. So I take it with a grain of salt, obviously. But there was an article, there's been a lot of articles on there recently about MMT, as you can imagine. And there was one on there today that was particularly comical. That's about the only adjective I can use. The guy said MMT is totally unrealistic because the amount of currency, now it's wacky logic he's using here. The guy has really no clue, but it's Zero Hedge. They post up anything that kind of fits with its editorial view. So the guy's saying there's no way you can use MMT because the amount of currency in circulation is tiny compared to the outstanding debts. So let's break this down. First of all, I guess he means that the object of MMT is to pay back all the quote-unquote debt. What he doesn't realize, and he goes through the whole list, he says, you know, U.S. Public debt is 22 trillion, the private debt is X trillion, and this debt is X trillion, so it's like, it was like 100 trillion or something like that. And how much we're going to owe 50 years from now in Social Security, that's another 70 trillion, you know, all this stuff. So, first of all, let's break it down. What is the debt? I mean, the debt, at least the public debt, when we're talking about the debt of the federal government, that is dollars, right? Those are dollars that have been spent that have not been taxed back yet. And they're just being held, those dollars are being held in the form of treasuries, which are easily convertible back into paper dollars. So that debt right there, when he talks about, you know, there's only a small amount of currency in circulation, and MMT says we would have to blow up this currency supply to pay back that debt, and that's just going to collapse the currency. That's, first of all, not understanding that the public debt, at least, is already dollars, which are just being held in the form of treasuries. So it's not a debt that is that we are unable to convert back into dollars. Those are already dollars that have been spent into existence that are being held in the form of treasuries. As far as private sector debt, okay, what you're really talking about there is the ability to service that debt. Nobody's calling it in. And that is a function of the growth of the economy, the rise in income, the rise in savings, and that too is facilitated when the government runs deficits. Remember, the government's deficit is equal to the private sector's surplus. So the ability to service that debt is in part a function of the government's spending, deficit spending. Now, it may not have to be the federal government's deficit spending. It could be foreigners who are deficit spending. That's currently not the way the world is set up. I mean, it's the United States that runs current account deficits and large budget deficits. So we finance China. We finance all these other countries, Japan running surpluses. But eventually it could be the other way around. So our government may not have to run deficits. Maybe China will at some point. That's what Trump is trying to do. So the guy is caught up in this idea. He dismisses MMT as any kind of a rational, functional approach, because he says, well, we just have this small base of currency, and in order to pay back or service all these debts, MMT would prescribe that we balloon this up to monumental 100 trillion whatever. That's in fact absolutely not what MMT is about. And again, he fails to understand that a large part of that debt, the vast majority of that so-called debt, already is dollars. All right? The public debt, that's $22 trillion that have been spent and not taxed away, that are just being held in the form of treasuries. The 50 trillion or whatever that we owe supposedly in Social Security 50 years from now, or that 50 trillion shortfall or 40 trillion, whatever the actuaries are saying it is, all right, that again is something that is nonsensical. Greenspan even said it when he was Fed chairman. The government can create as much money as it wants and pay it to whomever it wants. The only question is, will it have the real assets there which the money is meant to purchase? In other words, are you going to have the medicine, the health care, the hospital beds, the food, the clothing, the leisure? It's all about that. The only limit, there's no financial limit. Money is a keystroke. The limit is in real terms. That means the limit on resources, the limits on labor. You cannot create a human with a keystroke. You cannot create brain power with a keystroke. You cannot create clean water and other resources with a keystroke. Those are the things that limit our ability to grow and to prosper. Not the keystroke creation of a dollar in somebody's account. So these criticisms that you have seen, that we have seen recently with respect to MMT, all of them are so off base, and some so ridiculous, as in the case of this one that I read on Zero Hedge. I mean, at least guys like Larry Summers and Rogoff and who else was out there? Powell. Well, Powell didn't say anything. He just dismissed it out of hand. That's just wrong. Some try to take a stab at it in a semi-intelligent manner, even though they really ignore the key points of MMT and the key concepts and understandings of MMT, and they try to kind of twist it into something similar along the lines of what this post was on that blog on Zero Hedge, all right? But they fail each and every time. So some of these things are comical, I have to tell you, and this absolutely was, but it's posted up there and people say, oh yeah, you see, too little currency, it's never going to work. We're going to have to, by the way, if you go to the daily Treasury statement and you look at, I believe it's it could be table 3 on the daily Treasury statement, already in the fiscal year ending 2018, okay, the government redeemed, that means paid back, 100 trillion of public debt securities. 100 trillion in a single year. and it sold something like 101.7 trillion. That was so the difference, 101.7 trillion was sold and 100 trillion redeemed. That's 1.7 trillion. That's what was added to the so-called debt. But it redeemed, it paid back. It's right there on the daily treasury statement. If you go to the last day of the fiscal year, September 30th, well, I believe it was September 28, 2018, 100 trillion. So this stuff is no problem to take care of all that. It's a keystroke. Bye.